Finally, my friends, the spoilers summarizing the second chapter of the Heaven Saga from Knights of the Zodiac have been released. And I can already tell you that this is surprising. It really seems that Kurumada is doing something different in this saga. Hello, Knights of the Amazons. Welcome to the channel. Always wanted to know, I'm Wesley. And today we're going to analyze every detail of the spoilers about the second chapter of the Heaven Saga. So, to celebrate this moment, go ahead and click like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and let's get into this awesome video. Music? Always no music. This new chapter was titled as Phase 2, the Pegasus Constellation. The scene begins in a melancholic and dense atmosphere. The wind blows, whispering the secrets forgotten by the deities. Saori, the reincarnation of the goddess Athena in this era, wanders aimlessly until she meets Seiya. He approaches with Saori's hat in his hands. Seiya reaches out and returns the hat to her. When she sees Seiya's face and touches the object, a spark of light seems to ignite Saori's clouded mind. The bond between the knight, the Pegasus Knight, and Athena transcends time, space, and even reincarnations themselves. She looks directly into his eyes and says his name, Seiya. However, the joy is short-lived. Like a relentless mist, Athena loses her memories once again. The brightness in Saori's eyes disappears. Her recent and past memories simply evaporate from her mind. Saori can't remember her own name. And now she doesn't know she's Saori, let alone that she's Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom and just war. Turning her back to the night, she starts walking aimlessly again. Seiya and Shun, who somehow arrive at that place, watch Saori. Shun was there. Because after all, we see in the last chapter of Next Dimension that the knight became a flower seller who lives on the outskirts of the sanctuary. They watch the scene with deep sadness and concern. However, the silence of the place is suddenly broken by moans and dragging footsteps that echo throughout the area. From the shadows, a terrifying horde emerges. It's a large number of thieves who don't look like ordinary criminals. Their skin is pale, their eyes are devoid of humanity, and their appearance directly resembles zombies. They move with a wild aggressiveness, driven by a purely evil desire. Even though he's psychologically shaken by Saori's situation, Seiya doesn't hesitate. The fighting instinct of the hero who overcame the Sanctuary Knights and the Marina Generals remains intact. Without even needing to wear his Pegasus armor, Seiya moves like a seasoned fighter, with quick, precise movements and impressive physical strength. He attacks, and the zombies are thrown in all directions, easily defeated by Seiya's technique. But the real problem doesn't lie in the physical strength of those opponents, but in the meaning behind their existence. After the brief fight ends, Shun, who still has a keen sensitivity, reveals something disturbing. He explains to Seiya the reason why the world is declining so drastically and rapidly. According to the knowledge he has about the balance of the universe, Athena's cosmo works as a mystical and spiritual barrier, which purifies the Earth's atmosphere and restrains the darkest impulses of the human heart. Athena is the goddess who protects love and justice on Earth. With her disappearance, global public safety is collapsing, and chaos is spreading to every corner of the planet. Shun shares even more terrifying rumors. The rumor going around is direct and cruel. Darkness will consume the minds of everyone on the planet. Without the light of the goddess of wisdom, selfishness, violence, and human evil will flourish without barriers. If this continues, all the people on Earth will end up losing their sanity and kindness, turning into evil beings, falling into the same deplorable state. Like those zombie-like creatures Seiya just knocked out, the planet will become a living hell even before any god strikes. A single decisive attack, while the surface of the Earth plunges into the onset of absolute chaos. In the underworld, malevolent conspiracies are taking place where, far from mortal eyes, in an intermediate dimension known as Purgatory, the scene is pure terror. Purgatory is a place of punishment and spiritual transition, different from the depths of the prisons in Hades' underworld, but equally dark and oppressive. At the center of this desolate place, we find the new and mysterious antagonist, the specter Jean of Orthros, who manipulates dark energies with extreme ease. Jean has the power to access the remnants of souls that failed to find eternal rest and were condemned. Oblivion. With the movement of his hands and the emanation of an evil cosmo, Jean begins to perform a profane ritual before your eyes. Dry bones and old, worn-out armor emerge. Jean is reviving skeletal specters one after another on a gigantic scale. In the structure of the underworld army, skeletons represent the base of the military pyramid. They are the foot soldiers, warriors who have not reached the power level of the specters of the evil stars, celestial or terrestrial. But, as they acknowledged, they make up for their individual weakness with overwhelming numbers and a total absence of fear or remorse. Jean watches the army rise before him. He knows perfectly well that the current moment is the greatest opportunity the forces of darkness have had in ages. With Athena dethroned, she has become an extremely vulnerable target. And his absolute order to the horde of specters is, march to the surface. Find the human girl named Saori. Before she regains her cosmic consciousness and fully awakens as the goddess Athena, kill her without mercy. Back in the world of the living, we are taken to Rodorio village. This small and rustic community is located on the outskirts of the mountains that protect the sanctuary in Greece. For centuries, Rodorio village has served as home to civilians, peasants, and merchants who provided supplies to Athena's soldiers and knights. It is a place that has witnessed the beginning and end of many holy wars, often serving as the last bastion of normalcy for warriors returning, bleeding from the sun-drenched battlefields. In the temporary tranquility of his home in Rodorio village, Seiya tries to find a moment of peace to recover his strength and organize his thoughts. The aroma of homemade hot stew fills the cozy atmosphere of the kitchen. The one preparing the meal is Seika, Seiya's older sister. Yes, my friends, finally, Seika has reappeared in the story of Knights of the Zodiac. Apparently, she is living with her brother in Rodorio village. Seika's story is marked by a deep tragedy and a search that lasted for years. She disappeared from the Grodd Foundation shortly after Seiya was sent for training at the sanctuary in Greece. Desperate to find her brother, Kasula, she traveled to Greece, but ended up suffering a terrible accident that made her lose her memory. She lived for years as a peasant in Rodorio village itself, without knowing who she was. It was only during the violent battle against Hades, in the final moments of the Holy War, that Marandiag found her. And the Bronze Saints managed to protect her life from the attacks. Far from the god of death, Tana, it was at this moment that she regained her memories. While savoring the stew made by his sister's caring hands, Seiya decides to open up. He fully trusts Seika and tells her about the recent events he witnessed. He recounts the encounter with that mysterious young woman who, even though she suffered from complete and severe amnesia, knew his name exactly. When Seika hears her brother's story, she realizes without a doubt that the young woman Seiya was talking about is none other than Saori Kido, the goddess Athena. At that moment, a feeling of anguish took over Seika's heart. She looks at her younger brother, the boy who was taken from her arms in childhood, who suffered terrible injuries, who almost lost his life, and who carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. So many times, Seika doesn't want to lose her brother again to the endless cycle of blood, pain, and sacrifice that surrounds the divine disputes. Seika then reveals that she doesn't want Seiya to fight again. She would rather her brother remain without memories and live an ordinary and peaceful life. And while the conversation is happening, danger is already at the door. The skeletons sent by Jean de Orthros have started to infiltrate the outskirts of the village, beginning a thorough and relentless search for Athena in every inch of the region. Meanwhile, we see Saori Kido slightly raise her head and direct her gaze toward the Pegasus constellation in the sky. This marks the end of the spoilers for Chapter 2. And guys, as you know, last week I posted a video here on the channel talking exactly about this event. Cair's desire to conquer the Earth while Saori and the Knights are without memories will probably be the trigger for the awakening of Athena and the others. That's because the skeleton specters will attack all of them, forcing them to fight again and burn their cosmos. With that, it's very likely that each of their memories will return at that moment. Another very interesting detail is the appearance of men with a zombie-like look. That's an idea I also shared. Guilherme, last year you mentioned the dead might return since the underworld is destroyed. Could it be that important characters will also return in this pitiful zombie-like state? Man, I'm really excited about this Heaven Saga. Kurumada is really impressing a lot. And you? What do you think about these new developments in Knights of the Zodiac? Leave your opinion in the comments, and of course, thank you for watching until the end, and see you next time. Burn your Cosmo to infinity.